What an amazing bounty we have. Like, look at this eggplant. It's fantastic.
Es muy delicioso.
Mana inyo na ba siya wala?
I miss the Crusades.
Wait, didn't we have that stat project that's due in like 2 days?
2 days?
Oh crap!
Should we be working on that?
I still miss the Crusades. Anyways, for our survey, we asked a number of questions relating to responsibility. The first one was, how clean do you keep your room? With the choices being atrocious, messy, clean, or immaculate. The next question is, what is your gender, male or female? How old are you? 13, 14, 16, all the way to 19. What is your average letter grade between A, B, C, D, or F? What is your favorite color out of these? Red, yellow, green, blue, orange, purple, white, or black? Cool. Do you consider yourself a responsible person, yes or no?
No?
So then we introduced bias by potentially switching this question with this question. Because we thought that perhaps if someone answered the question yes, considering themselves a responsible person, they would answer more positively for all the questions that followed. Whereas if they just had how clean your room is at the very top, potentially they wouldn't have that positive outlook on themselves, therefore not influencing their surveys. Now to the analysis. The first part of our data we're going to analyze is the question of whether or not the person considered themselves responsible. On this question, the females considered themselves responsible more than the males did. Of the 47 males who took the survey, 35 considered themselves responsible and 12 didn't. Of the 53 females who took the survey, 46 females considered themselves responsible and 7 didn't. This gave us the results that 74.5% of males considered themselves responsible and 87% of females considered themselves responsible. That's a significant difference. And then there's also a significant difference caused by the presence of bias. If the question, or do you consider yourself responsible, was asked at the beginning of the survey, 38% of the surveyed said yes. But if the question was answered at the end of the survey, 78% of surveyors answered yes. 40% shift shows that the location of the question did cause a significant difference in the outcome of the survey.
This table shows the cleanliness of a room compared to males and females. We surveyed a total of 46 males and a total of 54 females for a total of 100 subjects. This bar graph illustrates this table. In our bar graph, the bars represent the actual number of each category, from atrocious, messy, clean, and immaculate. However, the percentages compare.
However, because the number of males and females are different, the percentages compare only to each other rather than the total.
5% of males, however, rated the room as clean, and 44.4% of females rated the room clean. And 6.5% of males rated the room as immaculate, whereas 9.3% of females rated the room as immaculate. In all three of these categories, females surpassed the males. However, 45.7% of males reported their room as messy, and 38.9% of females reported their rooms messy. Males in this is the only category in which males rated higher than females. This may be a variant due to the way males and females perceive their rooms. While males may view their room as more messy, females may view their rooms as more atrocious rather than messy, or clean rather than messy. It's the way that each gender may perceive how messy or clean a room is.
This table compares the answer to the room cleanliness question and whether or not the survey was biased. A survey is considered biased if it begins asking the survey
whether or not they consider themselves to be responsible. The bar graph is just a literal representation of the table. it shows that 8% of the respondents with biased surveys said that the room was atrocious, whereas 4% of the respondents with unbiased surveys said the same. 36% of those with biased surveys said the room was messy, whereas 46% of those with unbiased surveys said the room was messy. This 10% difference shows that our bias worked at least a small bit, because less people rated their room as messy if they were given a biased survey. Whereas over here, our bias didn't work quite as much, because we would have expected more people to rate their room clean if they had a biased survey, whereas our numbers were about the same, 48% to 46%. The same could be said here, where 8% of respondents with biased surveys said that the room was immaculate, whereas 4% of those with unbiased surveys said their room was immaculate. A slight difference probably shows that our bias might not have worked fully, but at least we can see some considerable difference in this section. This table compares what the subject said about their average letter grade and the cleanliness of their room. A couple of things can be seen at first glance of the table. One is that very few subjects said that they had an average letter grade of a D or an F. Only 3. Something else that can be rated is the rarity of responses in the atrocious and immaculate sections. Only 5 subjects said their rooms were immaculate, spotless. Only 5 subjects, again, said that their rooms were atrocious. This can possibly mean that subjects were hesitant to say that the room was either terribly good or terribly bad. Something that we can also see a high concentration of data in one part of the table, which would be in the intersection between the A, B, C columns and the clean and messy rows. 87% of the data, or 87% of our respondents, answered somewhere in this section. And there's somewhere, a place where we have a very low concentration of data would be in the D and F columns and the immaculate and atrocious rows, where there's only 13% of our respondents responded. One more thing that can be noted about the chart is that of the 5 people who said that the room was atrocious, 4 of them were C students. And of the 5 students who said that the rooms were immaculate, 3 of them were A students. Today is a sad day. I lay this flower on the grave of male superiority. 48.1% of females had an average letter grade of an A, whereas only 28.3% of males had an average grade of an A. Over here in the C column, only 11% of females had an average grade of a C, whereas 26.1% of males have an average grade of a C. Over here in the F column, there were no females who had an average letter grade of an F, and there were 2 males who had an average letter grade of an F. Now, initially, people would say it means that females at our school might be superior to males, academically speaking. But what may have been the problem was we didn't stratify the classes by honors or regular. So it is a possibility that because, just by random chance, we interviewed more regular classes than honors classes, females in regular classes tend to do a bit better than the males in honors classes, therefore making it appear that females do better overall.
In conclusion, the results were biased, but not in the way originally intended. We thought that if we put responsibility first, they'd answer higher on the room cleanliness, when it turned out when we put the room cleanliness first, they answered higher on the responsibility question. So in the end, our bias did work, but not in the way we thought. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting, Bonquisha. In our survey of 100 students from 8 randomly selected classrooms, we learned a number of things, including that room cleanliness tends to increase with age, that the position of a question can significantly affect the outcome of survey in unexpected ways, and that Robbie should schedule an audition with the Chipmunks. We hope you have enjoyed our video. Thank you for watching.